We have a God who invites us to persistently cry out. To cry out, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. And God longs to hear that cry. God longs to spend time for us, to care for us, to forgive us when we cry out to him in this way. We have a God who sends his Son that you would have salvation in his name. Jesus has completed that work for you. You know, if there's one person that has every right to play the comparison game, it's Jesus, right? He is the one who is perfect, worthy of all the glory of heaven, worthy of our praise. And yet what does he do but come to be made flesh? To be humiliated. We just confessed that in the Apostles' Creed. He was born, suffered, crucified, dies, is buried. See, with Jesus, it's not about comparison. It's about compassion. It's about his love for you and for me. In fact, right after this parable, we get something that I'm going to call a little bit of a case study. A little bit of a case study for the disciples. I think Jesus wanted to see if they were able to pick up what he was trying to lay down in this parable. The crowd starts bringing infants to Jesus, little ones. And I want you to picture this in your head. Parents bringing their little ones to Jesus, saying, Jesus, here, take my baby. Will you hold my baby for a little bit? What do the disciples do? They rebuke those parents. What does that sound like? Jesus doesn't have time for your baby. Our teacher's busy. His teaching is more important right now. Jesus is teaching for those that can comprehend and hear and understand. He's teaching for adults. Jesus doesn't have time for them. What are the disciples really saying here? Jesus' time is for us, not for them. It comes from pride. It comes from comparison. In fact, in a lot of ways, I think the disciples looked at themselves and said, Jesus, we've given up everything to follow you, and you're going to hold babies? What does Jesus say? Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for to such belongs the kingdom of God. Dear friends, this is a beautiful piece of gospel, and I pray that you hear it like Martin Luther did in that Romans 1 passage, that you hear it personally. Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for to such belongs the kingdom of God. Babies? They get to inherit the kingdom of God? What does a baby do to inherit heaven? Absolutely nothing. Not a thing. They can't even stand. That's one of the joys of doing baptism with you here in worship, when we get to see this precious sacrament at work, and we see God wash that tiny child, and then the pastor, my favorite part, gets to scoop up that little baby and walk all the way down the aisle, because that child cannot do it. They cannot walk down that aisle by themselves. Sometimes there's tears, sometimes there's grumpy noises at that same time. What does that infant do to inherit heaven? Absolutely nothing. And yet here's the gospel. Jesus has given his kingdom, the kingdom of God, to the most helpless ones. Jesus has given his kingdom, the kingdom of God, to the most helpless ones. And yes, dear friends, that includes those that come beating their breasts and saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. The good news is God is merciful. He is forgiving. That tax collector who came and cried out, he came in a sinner and he left justified. Guess what? God did the same thing for you today. As we come into his house for this divine service, God serves you. We came in confessing our sin of thought and word and deed, that we have not loved God as we ought to, that we have not loved one another as we ought to. We came in a sinner, and we leave justified, righteous in God's eyes. Remember how Jesus told this parable? Those that were trusting in themselves that they were righteous. This is so backwards. God is the one who makes righteous through his faithfulness.